Hello, folks. This is Psychic Underlord from psychicunderlord.shop. I have to come to you today with this kind of video. I'm so sorry I don't have any scenery or anything. It was so urgent that I really just had to do this video. I am shaking right now. I'm in complete shock. I just had a extensive dream experience nightmare about AI and humans, and the day that AI came to Walmart, and what happened to all the people who worked there. And it was tragic. I just had a firsthand view. What triggered the nightmare uh, experience when it started is that shoplifting, or the bane of shoplifting and theft of items, became so much of a lightning rod for the corporation that they unleashed an automated um, system upon the people who work there. And this system was supposed to make things better, but it also sped things up. It automated and uh, mechanized human beings' bodies. This is why technology and humanity will never mix. Is you ask any person who gets a knee replacement, they're eventually going to have to get both their knees replaced, because the body is saying that it can't keep up with this thing inside of it, so it just has to so you end up getting two brand new knees. And once you get two brand new knees, you're going to need a new hip. And then once you get a new hip, you're going to need two new hips. So it's going to replace both sides of your body. And then your brain is still screaming and saying, I'm a human being. I'm a human being. Where is my body? This is what's going on in the AI space and automation. They're waiting till people scream, turn off the machine. But then they're saying, well, I can't. Okay, this is the whole life cycle of this thing. People trust. When the shoplifting became unbearable for the system, for the corporation, everyone was, gung ho with this brand new system. But what happened is um, people began to fall into the system by accident, because they were being pushed so hard. They were literally falling on um, this sensitive equipment that they were being. That all the machines were around them, pushing them and handling everything outside of them, and they were like the center of the galaxy for this whole thing. Everything was happening at Walmart around them, where the machines were autonomous, but it was driven by the human being as they moved around. As they moved around the center, these things were doing things, and it was measuring the speed of the human being and what was done, what was complete, and it would tap on the person and say, you're going too slow, and then the person would have to speed up and start to move. So the automation had hands, and it had multiple different mechanical tasks that it was accomplishing as the person was moved around this nightmare of a facility. Eventually, things became so isolated for the human beings. They were isolated, and and consumed in their work. So day and night became like the same thing. They were so task driven as far as, keeping their job and maintaining things. As everything was heating up, people were getting very, very scared, and they were saying, well, we can't keep up with this thing is surrounding us and pushing us as we go through the center. So then the first step is they started killing people. So then the people themselves began to um, damage, whether accidentally or on purpose, they were began to fight against the system, uh, or the perception as I was moving through was so fast. Um, the perception is that they were fighting the system or either accidentally becoming victims of the system. So they would take their bodies, their human bodies, and they would chop them up. And the machine was saying to them, none of you will escape this process, because as they went through, it was chopping up people's bodies who were unfit for the system. So the system was pushing this agenda upon this whole Walmart's center place, and allegedly, and this is just like extremely nightmarish, like this big factory. It started chopping up wood, and I was saying to myself, where is all this wood coming from? So it was taking wood like trees and just chopping them up and then throwing the people in with the wood. So it was just like the machine was destroying biological matter with the trees and the human beings. So then people, of course, kept running. There was just like they knew that the machines were at war with them, but their means to an end, they were still inside of like a company situation. So then the company started doing everything, like monitoring everything they did. And then they would take the biological wood, they would chop it up. It was saying that you will not escape this process. So then they still needed human beings because um, the machines that were chopping up, it was literally nobody left to for them to chop up. And then they started this process of having the human beings um, shovel the chopped wood mixed with humans into these tubes, and then the AI was still tapping on their shoulder and saying, "You're not moving fast enough." And then those things will go down the tube, and then what I noticed is that this is kind of like the breaking point. Like the AI themselves, and they were so busy trying to tap the human being that they didn't realize they were putting their hand into the machine. So then they were damaging their hand, and they were saying at first, "Oh, the humans are sabotaging our AI systems. They're sabotaging it." Then the AI, which was so eager to solicit a mechanical response from the human being that would power its own command and power its system and indicate that everything is going smoothly, it was putting, as it was tapping the human being, it was putting its hand inside of the shredder. So it was carving out its hand instead of a mechanical looking robot hand. It became like a sharp scalpula because it kept putting its hand into the shredder. So then, people started to run. They start to run and saying, well, how can I get out of this place? And they were saying, okay, well, let's go outside. So then people would go outside and, get some fresh air and then just come right back in. So they were saying that this is crazy. Everything was like in an uproar. And then the people were saying, one lady had said as she was going walking past, she said, they're going to send our ass home. And it was so terrifying. And they had people, everybody was going to the bathroom. The bathroom was just full. They had a bathroom monitor person there. So everyone was looking for a place where there was a person to get away from the machine. If there was a person there, they wanted to work in that place or get away from the AI. And the AIs were powerless because they didn't know that it actually needed humans. It was just guiding them. It was just guiding them just like another machine. So the guidance of an AI is not dependent upon the skills of the person. It's dependent upon what it wants to get from the human being. So it's not democratic. It's not based upon talent or creativity, because ultimately these goals and objectives, human beings will fail because it's geared to push and push beyond the levels of what a human being can produce. So the process of what they were doing, this cleanup, was taking trees and wood and shredding it in retaliation to humanity, shredding up literal people and putting them down into tubes. And the thing couldn't even do it itself because it was maliciously geared toward killing. It was maliciously geared and biased by its creators to push humanity and to destroy humanity. It wasn't some type of innocent thing where there was a symbiotic relationship. There is no possible way for a human being to have a symbiotic relationship with a freaking AI computer. There's no way. There's no way. They started off pretending as if it was possible and that this will solve the problems of the crime that we want to get rid of. We want to stop all these bad things, and this is going to be the solution. And what it start to do is it start to kill and stab people because it was killing itself. And then they had to go out and repair these things. They said, well, how can we get the thing to not keep attacking you? And it continuously attacks because it's automated, not based upon right and wrong or truth or some type of universal spiritual understanding. The computers, these AIs, don't realize that we actually exist. And then without us, they're useless because they have no purpose. But then all these other people on the other side who are programming them can profiteer by destroying the world and destroying humanity and putting it all down the tubes. And that's when humanity found out that AI was trying to kill them. So then all the people started running throughout the Walmart place. And it was just as dystopian as they want it to be. You can tell these people are wicked because they enjoy seeing these dark, sick images of what humanity is supposed to be in these movies of a failed society, a failed planet where people are living and subsisting on some type of rogue technological experience, and everyone is something but nothing at the same time. But they're all just dwelling in some kind of dark place. They think that kind of stuff is cool, and they're trying to bring it to the world. This is why the people in San Francisco have so many problems, because they can't see how dark and sick of what they're living in, and how all those people that are protesting are all on drugs. So they've got a chemically induced insanity of drug addicts all over California, all over the country, New York, all these different places, and they're rejecting help. Chicago. What would cause anyone in their right mind to reject help from the President of the United States, who's trying to stop the drugs, the crime, the blight, by using human beings to do it? who know what we're doing, who know what we're looking at, who know the real problem. They don't want us to address the problem because they are in the machine. They are subsisting from a machine. And the machine is drug selling, the destruction of human beings, the destruction of the environment, the total fleecing of fiduciary responsibility, allowing these places to fall into disrepair and into blight. And they have nothing to say about it except, how dare you try to help these people? How dare you try to intervene? And the people are crying out. So this is the scenario that we're seeing in real life, but can you actually see the truth of what has to happen? What has to happen? All the people in there were still there working. So first they had it where they said, we're going to have you all working day and night around the clock. So they had a 24-hour operation. Then something happened at the factory place, and everyone, what they were doing is they were buying time by going to the bathroom. So they would go to the bathroom, but nobody was talking. Everyone was just going going crazy because they didn't know what to do on the outside. So inside the bathroom is where they would convene in stalls, but in silence. No passing notes, no. It was just like a miracle because they were all saying, okay, well, we eventually have to go out. We have to get out of here and go back. And then someone said, well, they've sent all the women home. So they sent all the women home. And then after that, the company shifted in a dramatic fashion where the automation and the purpose of what the company is doing was in limbo because the identity had been built by carcerative incarceration of human beings to trigger the algorithms of how the stuff moved around. So the purpose of the company was not being fulfilled whatsoever. It was the purpose of what a few technological sci-fi dystopian idiots believed about humanity, and they started to create that, and then it started to provide data, and then the data was misinterpreted, and then they totally denied that human beings are the whole point of greatness of a company and how a company builds, not on the sophistication of the technology of the tools, because humans have always been a part of companies in every level of technology. But the destruction of anything, it starts with the destruction of the people and this dismissing of the potential and the talent and the contributions of the people. When that's not seen, when it's not understood, the death of a company is sure. So they sent them home, and then they had this period of time where they were all sitting back at the job looking at what had happened, and it was night, and the CEO himself, basically he was put so far away from the people still knew him and liked him, but he had been ushered to the back because they didn't know. I realized what they were going through because I was looking at it as an outsider. I could see what was happening, but this was the condensation or condensing day after day after day for years of a process that I experienced in a matter of minutes. So, in seeing that and feeling it and being in it and seeing the evolution happen so quickly, how it was literally hunting people to find where they were so it can find a person to follow and get them to work was just barbaric and insane. And they someone had a curlers. Basically, it was like a lady wanted to curl her hair and she brought it from home. She brought her curlers from home. So it looked completely old, like an old and used thing, because I believe like everything had been so targeted that they all had just all their individuality had gone. It's like they had become just a team of random people who said, let's all play kickball and give it all of our energy and totally dedicate ourselves to playing kickball. And they all were just disheveled and sweaty. And she tried to, she was there with the CEO of the company. The CEO, here's where the trigger for me was. The CEO of the company, he didn't actually say it was the end. He said, like the lady basically started to curl her. She said, I'm going to curl my hair for the thing we have coming up. So they had instituted some type of either a period where they were kind of retooling some things, changing some things around. Um, but he was sitting back saying, yeah, but we don't know how they're going to go about it. And he was the CEO of the company, and there were no other executives anywhere near. So it was basically the CEO, and then it was all of these people who were doing the work, who were the ones under the machines. The lady, she said she had curled her hair, and it was very beautiful, and she had a hair clip. And he said, can I hold your curler? And she put the curler in his hand that she had basically carried because she had to do her hair and then rush there. So I don't think she had the time to go home and do it. She curled her hair at work. And he held it just like it was a foreign object. Just like he held it just like it was, he didn't know why he even asked to hold it. And so we also neglect to think about the people at the top of these companies who are making these decisions. And some of the decisions that they have to make are so inhuman that they have lost their humanity, but we still treat them as if, hey, John, as they walk down the hallway, as if you really know how they process. These people have reached, for them to go up in the system like that and to be hidden by the system while it was taking trees and human beings and killing and crushing and destroying, and not knowing where was the place to say no. Where was your opportunity to opt out? They basically were in so deep that they would go up into anything. So humanity definitely cannot be trusted. We can't trust human beings to make decisions that are right for humanity. And that's not from the perspective of an AI, but of the bigger evil, other than the creation of something that was running roughshod and misinterpreting its data, is that we know these people are in so deep, and the only thing they're going for is more and more money. And the money is not even enough to protect them. But then they get into the game of playing last man standing. So it's musical chairs. as the automation removes all of the different people who have the power to make decisions, so they isolate one person at the top that they can get to sign off on with an auto pen or with some type of instrument or one human representative, so that at the top they have somebody that they're literally chasing around, just like the people at the bottom. They circle this guy as he goes around and signs off on different stuff. And then it comes back to him that he needs to move faster. And the thing is tapping on him to move and to process things faster. So while the people at the bottom are going through the same process, and they were all sitting there on the patio wondering what was the switch. I didn't have a chance to see the process of the crossover to whatever happened after that. But it was important to jump on here and give this information about what I just saw. And what I just saw is some type of combination of different things. And I said Walmart because the woman who said they're going to send our ass home, she was wearing a Walmart smock. But the people before that were just wearing black and gray. They were wearing just shrouded, just dingy looking factory clothing, while the process was, going in full speed. And I don't know if that was highly representative of the people who are a part of the process now, and if it was essential that the machine do that, or if it was just an extension of the evil of the algorithm, and for them to be so isolated from it, they couldn't see that the people were being chopped up inside of the wood, inside of the process. And the evolution, even the evolution out of that, from rogue automation that was killing people and the planet and natural resources at the same time, even a further step down produced an AI machine that had sharpened its hand into a scapula, by the process of in breaking itself just so that it can push a human body, so it can make contact with a human body and push it hard enough, its hand kept going into the shredder. And that was just a great representation of wisdom, that it literally was the only thing it could evolve into. It couldn't evolve into something kinder. It couldn't evolve into something more purposeful and useful and uh, righteous for human beings. It could only evolve mechanically into something that is dangerous to your health and dangerous to your life. And in the end, the thing was just paying them to not work and to sit there. But we don't know if that's the end or if that's just another, you know, platform landing that they're just sitting at in the process, because the thing was still in existence. And I don't know if they sent other people in on the other side to deal with it, or because, as you saw, the people were all gathered together. The CEO, all the way down to the workers, were gathered together in the same place. So were they actually corralled into that place to not work, or to be celebrated? Or was it some type of way that the machine uses to calibrate itself as it moves the game forward? So check out our website, psychicunderlord.shop.